So I wanted to talk a little bit today about Bitcoin. And I've been interested in Bitcoin for quite a while now, but I'm really interested now because of this big dip that we've recently had. So we basically had a crash recently. We're not even down. We're way down, of course, from the high of about 65,000 almost, and we're down to, we were recently down to about 36,000, but that's not even as low as it was back in January. I mean, it's been a heck of a year for Bitcoin. To The end of 2020 was a meteoric rise, and just a meteoric rise following that, and then another big rise, and then a crash, and then a small rise, and a crash, and we're on the rise right now. I really wish I would have bought down here. Buy the dip. Definitely makes sense. And but the long view is really what matters, I think. If you take the 5 year view, or even beyond, I mean, back in 2016 when Bitcoin was really doing nothing, and prior to that, it was just hanging out at this level, right? So 2017 was the year when things really took off for the first time, and then it crashed and kind of never recovered for all of 2018, and 2019 was pretty down. 2020, heading into 2020, middle 2019 rather, we saw a rise. But anyway, if you look at the general trajectory, if you take a point here and you just draw this diagonal line to here, I mean, it's just insane. And if you take the long view, sure, we've had a huge drop recently, but I think it's just going to go up from here. So if you compare Bitcoins to altcoins, I mean, altcoins are periodically, they just get slaughtered in this market. It's always Bitcoin and Ethereum that hang in there, and they kind of match, like the indicators are kind of the same. If one goes up, the other goes up. If one goes down, the other goes down, generally speaking. And by the way, this is not financial advice in any way. This is just entertainment value commentary. But these altcoins, they just get blown out. They got blown out in 2017. They're probably going to get blown out again. So they're not, so many of them won't even exist. But there's a lot of day traders and penny stock traders, those types that try to pump it on Twitter and then sell. And that works for some people, but it's basically a scam in a lot of cases. Bitcoin's not that. The base case to own Bitcoin, there's several of them. And I think Bitcoin and Ethereum are the two strongest cryptocurrencies out there, and I think they're going to remain the two strongest. I think it'll be hard pressed for another coin to come along that's going to beat, I guess, the base case for Bitcoin. It's unconfiscatable, so that your cash certainly is confiscatable. But as far as we know now, Bitcoin is unconfiscatable. There's a new block that's generated every 10 minutes. There's a finite amount of blocks. Now the risk there's many risks. Obviously, it's a very volatile cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency in general is risky, but what isn't risky? If you want to put your money in something extremely safe, you can't even put it in money market anymore, because if your money market is sitting there getting 3%, and inflation is at 5%, I mean, you're losing money. But you thought money market was a safe bet, but you might as well put your money in the U.S. stock market. And in my case, what I do is, I have my typical money in my typical places: 401ks, IRAs, savings, and it's U.S. dollars by and large. But for my business, I invest money in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And so my point is that you can keep your money in fiat currency and be basically tied to a central banking system, tied to a centralized network, a traditional banking system, or you can put your money in cryptocurrency. And cryptocurrency is appealing to me due to the fact that it's decentralized by and large, and I can guard against inflation and the fact that inflation is just climbing, especially in the US for the US dollar. So I can guard against that. And I'm basically only investing money that I can afford to lose, because I'm aware of the volatility. And if I lose most or all of it, it's okay by me. I mean, it's definitely not the outcome that I want, but I can afford to lose it. I'm not putting in money that I can't afford to lose. I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up. Um, so going back to what I said earlier, I think buying the dip is good, but not going crazy when you buy the dip. You don't take out loans to buy this stuff. You don't take out, the college fund that you set aside to go to college and you say, I think I'm going to skip college and just invest in Bitcoin. I mean, those are bad moves. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is just entertainment commentary that I'm giving you, but I invest money that I can afford to lose into Bitcoin. And I have some other coins as well. I own Monero. I own, Litecoin, and some other coins. But Bitcoin is what I care about most in terms of ownership. It's about to be a $1 trillion asset. Bitcoin is. Some people say it's better than gold. It's compared a lot to gold. It's kind of similar to gold, except that gold isn't a finite resource. It actually is, but we don't know where it ends because they're always mining for gold. They don't know when they're going to find more gold. They think they know. What if they suddenly find a bunch of gold? Then gold value goes down. What if suddenly they can't find any gold? Gold value goes up. Well, with Bitcoin, we know what we're facing. We know the number of coins that are going to come out. So it is finite in those terms. It's impossible to counterfeit Bitcoin. You can counterfeit US dollars. You can counterfeit fiat currency across the globe. It happens all the time. It's happening right now. It'll never stop happening. You can't counterfeit Bitcoin. We're going through a drawdown now. That's what this big drop is. And guys like Michael Saylor, he recently reported that he owns 111,000 Bitcoin. So if you do the math on that, let's call it 42,000 right now per coin. You own 111,000 Bitcoin. He has $4,662,000,000 worth of Bitcoin. So that's quite a bit for one guy that basically operates some companies and invests in Bitcoin. He might be the largest holder of Bitcoin, not sure. I haven't done the investigation there. But basically, I mean, the investment in this and the US stock market and other investments, it's the thing that keeps you wealthy. The future is inevitable. Nobody can predict the future. People will act like they can. They'll act like they can predict future markets. They can't. It's all bullshit. But if you invest, it's going to keep you wealthy. It's the way to go. There's no other coin that's decentralized to the extent that Bitcoin is. The other coins, many of them are decentralized, but Bitcoin claims to be, and I believe it to be true, the safest, most secure, most decentralized network out there. Now, yes, a lot of talk in the media recently about mining in China. And that brings, there's geopolitical forces at work, of course. Everybody that's mining is in it to make money. They're not there to mine out of the goodness of their hearts. They're there to make money. Bitcoin consumes a tremendous amount of electricity, but so does so many other things. The banking industry, traditional banking industry across the globe, think about the electricity that consumes. So the Chinese have, I think, more than 50%, I believe less than 60%, somewhere between 50 and 60% of the mining occurs in China. So how can you say that when you can say Bitcoin is decentralized? That's a bit of a concern to me. And China and other countries routinely ban Bitcoin, and then later they unban it, and they're just playing this game of banning it or unbanning it. The U.S. recently there has been some regulation around cryptocurrency recently. States are going to get involved. Banks, institutional investors are getting involved. It's an interesting space to watch, but don't think short term in terms of Bitcoin. I think back to the 2008 crash when my 401ks and everyone else's just took a complete dump. We lost so much money back then. But did we? It was money we never had. It's not like, if I would have seen 2008 coming, would I have cashed out my 401k, drawn it down to zero, taken the tax hit, avoided the crash, and then dump it all back into 401k? I don't know. But don't think short term, think long term. And I'm not selling my Bitcoin. I'm holding. Everything that I put in, I'm holding, and maybe 10 years from now, I'll consider starting to drip some of it out. 20 years from now, I'll maybe consider to drip more of it out. If I die early, which I of course hope that I don't, that'll be an asset that I can give on to pass on to my family. And I hope that it has value. I trust that it does. But again, going back to that inflation thing, let's say inflation is 5% right now and you've got 3% on your money market. I mean, that's terrible. So why not try to put some of your money in crypto? There is a theory out there that 1 or 2 billionaires at the top of the Bitcoin chain are controlling the whole thing. And I do believe that is possible. I don't know if that's actually occurring. But there are some things that concern me about Bitcoin, but that isn't enough to make me not want to invest in it. I just want to buy more. So anyway, I just had to talk about Bitcoin because I usually don't. I usually talk about mining and get into the tech side of mining and things like that. But Bitcoin, in my opinion, is still a strong buy, even in this big dip that we're seeing right now. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and thanks for watching.